and shine. Coffee's brewing, feeling fine. News is out and on the air. Shizzy Whiz nuts wild, but we don't care. Morning Whiz and Coffee. Talk the news, he's a tease. Laugh it off, we're on the go. Shizzy Whiz nuts, start the show. Let's go. Spinning in the breeze, stupid jokes, he's such a tease. Sip the Java with a smile, pants are off but stay a while. Morning Whiz and Coffee, talk the news, he's a tease. Laugh it off, we're on the go. Shizzy Whiz, let's start the show, let's go. Headlines spinning in the breeze, stupid jokes, he's such a tease. Sip the Java, wear a smile, pants are off but stay a while. Morning Whiz and Coffee, talk the news, he's a tease. Laugh it off, we're on the go. Shizzy Whiz, let's start the show, let's go. Serious is overrated, every day we're caffeinated. Talk the town but in a jest, Morning Whiz is always best. Clock is ticking, time to run. Morning show's a load of fun. Grab your mug, don't spill a drop. Laugh your ass off till you pop. Clock is ticking, time to run. Morning show's a load of fun. Grab your mug, don't spill a drop. Laugh your ass off till you pop.
Oh my god, Shizzy breaks Larry. Shizzy broke Larry.
Morning, all you fine people. It is Monday and I'm back. Yes, sir. How are you guys doing this morning? You guys liking the new time? Yes, we're having an interesting morning this morning. Yesterday, happy New Year, good morning. Well, it's almost New Year for us here. We've got a little ways to go. God, this year cannot end soon enough. We were talking about this last night with God, was it Diva I was talking with? It's just Diva, Ballstorm, Yamaha, Kaiser. Oh my God, we were just sitting there, just like this year just dragging on. So I mean, it is getting there. Ooh, it just can't. It just does not seem like it wants to end. It just does not seem like it should. So much is going on, and tonight. Well, let's put it this way: tonight will be the start of a new schedule for my nighttime streams. So I hope you're ready for that. Some of you folks might not be able to join in because it's going to be a little bit later stream. So just know that it's going to be crazy. It's going to get crazy. Oh God, yes. Oh, and coffee this morning. Cheers to all of you that are celebrating New Year's early. Welcome. How you doing? Good morning from the UK. Hi, Betsy. Hi, Rosalind. Oh my gosh, all you fine people here this morning here. I can't touch each one of you as much as that would be really creepy and weird. I still can't do it. So this, it's been a crazy year, but tomorrow night, come by for the stream tomorrow night. I will be doing if my wonderful voice of a lady joins me tomorrow night, that'll be cool. I understand if she doesn't, because it's New Year's and who wants to spend their time with me on New Year's? We are looking at doing more of the deposition tonight. So Diva said she will be joining me for that of that deposition, which will be very, very, very interesting. What time? My new time will be. I'm planning on firing up the stream at about 10:45, 11 o'clock. That'll be the time that I start up p.m. So that's what time I'm looking at starting my evening streams, getting those rolling into the wee hours of the morning. That way I can keep it under 2 hours. Maybe it goes over, but if it does, it's because you wonderful people force me to do it. Don't force me to do it all the time. Yes. So I'm working on getting a new no touching, stop touching. Okay. I'm working on getting a little bit of a different sleep schedule. And it's just, the this year, although it's been really good, I noticed that my sleep schedule was suffering a little bit. Not bad, but it was suffering a little bit. So I'm working on getting all of that just a little bit more on track. And are you guys liking the new video? It looks like you are. You guys are having fun with that one. I love it. Oh yeah. So yeah, it's working on getting these things just a little bit better, sleep schedule and that you just have to um do these things for health reasons. I need to drop a few pounds since I've been this year especially. I had a goal at the beginning of the year to start getting up and working out just a little bit more, and that never happened. Um, so I was like, well, and I just need to be better about my health here because I'm not a young spring chicken anymore, um, at all. For 30, there we go, more minutes. And I will be doing whenever it happens, which eventually, um whenever I hit my 7K, I'm gonna have to do another stream because I'm slowly creeping up there. I see that it'll possibly happen, and I'll have to do a new stream. And I've got another song that I'm working on. This gives me more time in my evenings, so I can spend time with my wife a little bit more, and then start to be able to do like some real good stuff. And I mean, if you really really need really good stuff, you have to look no further than this right here. Oh yeah.
Like a warm cup of coffee on a cold winter's morning.
Hmm. Well, I did not realize this until I started the stream up this morning. With me changing my schedule, I'll be streaming at midnight tomorrow.
Yeah, that might be a problem.
Uh, I don't think it'll be a problem. Well, for Diva, it might be. She might not be able to join me.
Yes.
So I won't hold her feet to the fire tomorrow. Not tonight. I'll hold her feet to the fire. That is.
Depends on what time you get started up, man. I mean,
oh no, I plan on starting reading the deposition by 11 o'clock.
okay.
And then finish up at midnight. Is that going to be too late for that lovely lady?
I don't know. It's one of those things where, you get into, especially during the holidays, you get into the pattern of your sleep schedule's completely off. Cause like me, I'm on vacation. So my sleep schedule is completely screwed. I have the sleep schedule of a YouTuber right now.
Yeah.
It sucks. As opposed to going to bed at a normal hour, waking up early. No, it's going to bed at God knows when, still waking up early, and no nap in between. So
yeah, that's something that I'm going to be doing a little bit more of, is getting some nap in between. Because
you're smart. You're smart.
yeah, because the way I look at it is I'll be able to go about my normal work day, go spend time with my wife after work, have some dinner, and then no different than I would be streaming, except I'm going to go to sleep.
Right. Right. Exactly.
And that way, I can at least get a couple of hours of sleep before I come on and do a stream, which always works good for me. Me breaking up my sleep like that, surprising enough, I completely recharged.
Yeah, it's I got into that habit of, I would take a nap of afternoon, like an hour nap, or sometimes even just like a 20-minute power nap, and I was good to go. But now I haven't needed one. So
Right, because your sleep schedule now.
because my sleep schedule's so screwed up anyway that I was like one night I got 8 hours of sleep and I woke up and I'm like, I forgot what this feels like. I'm actually awake and not exhausted when I wake up.
Yeah. I do have this. Yeah, good time to listen in the evening. Yeah, 11 o'clock. I think would be a good time to be able to do that. And it's just I've just got to I just need to rearrange it, and I'm gonna try it out for a good amount of time, see if that changes my my mental health. speaking of
mental health,
speaking of mental health, the good morning briefing obligatory say something nice about Jimmy Carter. Yes, Jimmy Carter passed away at 100 yesterday.
Again? How many times is he going to pass away?
Well,
I swear. Yeah, I'm not trying to be an ass about this, but it's like, how many other times did they say, "Oh, this is going to be it. Today's the day." And then finally yesterday he did pass away. So
yeah, he did. And I've always thought that he was a better person outside of presidency.
well, the thing about Carter was always, Carter was a good man and a horrible president.
Yes.
I mean, until Biden came along, he was considered the worst president of all time.
Right. And that wasn't because he was a bad person.
No, no, not at all.
Because if you look at what he did outside after his presidency, I mean, that's where his legacy is really, really shines. The building houses and really putting that together and pushing for that almost till the day he died. That man was active, busy, and he was no joke. He was the real deal.
Yeah. That happened to, because I got up at like 5 and happened to catch a glimpse of NPR snippet on him, to where they're talking about his life. And of course, NPR being NPR, they were glossing over his failures as a president.
Oh God.
So it was just, it was interesting, especially, there was a speech that he had given, and I'd never heard of it. It was called I think it was called his malaise speech. Where basically he was like, yeah, everything's messed up.
Yeah.
I'm just like, that's not good.
Malaise. Oh, yeah. Here we go. Let's see if we've. Oh my God, we do have it.
Really? Cool.
Yeah. The only problem is it is
copyrighted.
Like 33 minutes long, and it's on CBS.
No. Oh hell no.
But let me see if I might be able to pull it up, and let me see if I've got it here. Let me see. I know that I might be able to actually pull it up. Open. Oh, you bastards. I don't want to sign up for this. Oh, yeah, here it is. I do have it. Oh, my freaking God. Oh, all right.
I think the gist of it is he was trying to say, well, all these energy problems and all these economic problems, they actually run so much deeper, as if his policies weren't the ones of directly affecting it.
Yeah, here it is. Here it is. Jimmy Carter delivered this televised speech on July 15th, 1979. Good evening. How did Jimmy Carter talk? Good. Oh, damn it.
Good evening.
Good evening.
You got to have that Georgia accent in it, Jed.
Good evening. This is a special night for me. Exactly 3 years ago, on July 15th, 1976, I accepted the nomination of my party to run for president of the United States. I promise you, as a president who is not isolated from people, who feels your pain, who shares your dreams, who draws his strength and his wisdom from you. During the past 3 years, I've spoken to you on many occasions about national concerns, the energy crisis, reorganizing the government, our nation's economy, the issues of war, and especially peace. But over those years, the subjects, the speeches, the talks, the press conferences have been coming increasingly narrow, focused more and more on what isolated the world from Washington thinks is important. Gradually, you heard more about what the government thinks and what the government should be doing, less and less about our nation's hopes, our dreams, and our vision of the future. 10 days ago, I planned to speak to you again about a very important subject, energy, for the fifth time. Would have been described
for the fifth time.
Yes, exactly.
Good Lord. He's only been in office a couple of years. It's the fifth time he's had to talk
3 years
about it.
at this time.
3 years? Yeah.
Yeah. But I was preparing to speak. I began to ask myself the same question that I know now has been troubling to many of you. Why I've not been able to get together as a nation to resolve our serious energy problem.
That's your job.
It's clear. Yeah, that is his job.
That's your job.
It's clear that the true problems of our nation are much deeper than gasoline lines, energy shortages, deeper than inflation or recession. And I realize more than ever as a president, I need your help. So I decided to reach out and listen to the voices of America. I invited to Camp David people from almost every segment of our society: business, labor, teachers and preachers, governors, mayors, and private citizens. And then I left Camp David to listen to other Americans, men and women like you. It's been an extraordinary 10 days, and I want to share with you what exactly I've learned. First of all, I got lots of personal advice. Let me quote a few of the typical comments I wrote down. This is from Southern Governor. Mr. President, you are not leading this nation. You're just managing the government. You don't see enough people anymore. Some of your cabinet members don't seem loyal. There isn't enough discipline among your disciples. Don't talk to us about politics or the mechanics of governments, but about understanding our common good. Mr. President, we're in trouble. Talk to us about blood, sweat, and tears. If you lead, Mr. President, we will follow. Many people talk. Yeah, pretty much. Many people talked about themselves and about the condition of our nation. This is from a young woman in Pennsylvania that said, I feel so far from government. I feel like ordinary people are excluded from political power.
Well, hell, how you think we feel now?
Yeah. Do you think it got any better?
It's gotten worse.
This is awesome. And this from a young Chicano. Some of us have suffered from recession in all our lives.
Some of us have suffered from recession all of our lives. My name is Carlos.
Some people have wasted energies, but others haven't had anything to waste. And this from a religious leader. Oh, here we go. Religious leader.
Yep.
Go ahead. Do it.
No material shortage can touch the important things like God's love for all of us or our love for one another.
And I like this one particularly from a black woman who happens to be the mayor of a small Mississippi town. Well, son, the big shots, not the only ones. Why important? Remember, You can't sell anything on Wall Street unless someone digs it up somewhere else first. This kind of summarizes a lot of the other statements. Mr. President, we're confronted with a moral and a spiritual crisis. Several of our discussions were on energy, and I have a notebook full of comments and advice, and I'll just read a few. This is a big problem. If you have a president seeking advice from people that are not in his cabinet,
Well,
what kind of leadership is that?
here
I
would
mean,
be
that's like a CEO asking for the advice of the workers on how to run a damn company.
right. I get the point of trying to find out what's going on and kind of going outside of your little clique to be able to get answers, but at what point does it become just a political stunt as opposed to actually trying to solve the damn problem?
Right. Well, and the problem was he wasn't trying to solve the problem as it became very
No.
apparent because nothing changed. I mean, I remember, oh my God, the lines just trying to get gasoline in a Volkswagen Beetle. Okay.
Hey man, those
If you-
old school Beetles were badass.
Yeah. Well, if you ever try sitting in one of those things, they don't really warm up. Whenever they don't warm up in the winter, and I'll tell you what, up north in the freaking winter, in a Volkswagen Bug is not goddamn fun.
No,
You're
no.
like, no, this sucks. Unless the car is moving, you don't get any heat coming in there. It's, it's cold. It's so cold. I mean, they did have some of them that had little blowers in there, you know, that would blow the heat out, but
Yeah,
you know, you're getting it off of an engine that's in the back of the car.
right. Exactly.
Trying to pipe that stuff up to the front. Oh, that stuff is so cold. We can't go on consuming 40% more energy than we produce. When we import oil, we're also importing inflation plus unemployment. Well, that sounds really familiar, doesn't it?
Huh. How about that?
We've got to use what we have. The Middle East has only 5% of the world's energy, but the United States has 24%. And this is one of the most vivid statements. Our neck is stretched over the fence and OPEC has a knife.
Well, don't be energy independent then.
Yeah.
Like
which
now.
we could easily be. Yeah.
Like now. We were.
Yeah.
For 4
years. Yeah. And I mean, yeah, you have to remember whenever I say gas prices were high, they were like $1 a gallon, $2 a gallon. And you have to understand in 1976, those gas prices being that high, whenever you could buy a brand new Pinto for $2,000, okay?
Yeah.
You could buy a running car that would get you from point A to point B that had automatic transmission and all the bells and whistles for like $2,000.
Yeah, see, because I remember gas prices in the 80s being like 75 cents, 85 cents a gallon, you know, along
and
those
that was
lines.
high.
And that was
high.
That was high.
Oh, and it was more than that. There was also a shortage of gas. Like you just couldn't get it there because you were waiting on it to come all the way to the United States. And that was just the oil getting to the United States, and then it had to be processed.
Yes.
It was just like, instead of having it here. This was a good one. Be bold, Mr. President. We make it said there will be other cartels and other shortages. American wisdom and courage right now can set a path to follow the future. This was a good one. Be bold, Be bold, Mr. President. We may make mistakes, but we are ready to experiment. No, and no. I will tell
you gotta have a plan.
Yeah, you don't experiment whenever you're trying to run a country. That's not how you run a country. As we found out why there were hostages on a damn plane, that the day that they found out Reagan was coming in.
And when did they release him? A day after Reagan got inaugurated.
Yep. Because he said, we're not playing.
Because they were like, no, we ain't messing with this guy.
They're like, better stop. This was a good one. Be bold, Mr. President. We made mistakes, but we're ready to experiment. And this one from a labor leader, screw him, got to the heart of it. The real issue is freedom. We must deal with the energy problem on a war footing. See, you think war wouldn't be, it was started by Republicans. And the last I'll read, when we enter the moral equivalent of war, Mr. President, don't issue us BB guns. Well, and that's true. You don't want to be like disarmed.
Nah, even
these
though they
10
do hurt.
Yeah,
Just saying.
yeah, they do. Mine hurts a hell of a lot. I had found this old canteen.
Just ask the squirrels.
No, I dug up an old canteen in the basement whenever I was doing some remodeling down there.
Yeah.
And I basically threw it away because it's one of those hard aluminum canteens, those pretty
Yes.
sturdy ones.
Yep.
Where you can't, you have to hit it really hard to dent it.
Right.
And so I set it up out in the yard, and the guy that was doing our stonework, I showed it to him on my pellet gun. He was like, oh, that's pretty cool. I was like, yeah, you should see the kind of damage this does. He goes, oh, let's check it out. So we took it out back and set up the canteen, and he goes, all right, and it's got a scope on it. He was like, all right, that's pretty cool. I was like, well, he goes, so what? And I was like, well, you just take this and cock it. It's air powered. And he was like, all right. He blew a hole through that thing, and he was like, it didn't even move. This thing didn't even move. It just went. And he was like, well, I see where I hit it, but it didn't move. I was like, well, just there's like 10 rounds in this little magazine thing.
Yeah.
And so he fired all 10 rounds, and it hit like almost in the same spot each time. He was like, damn, this thing is pretty impressive. I came out there, I picked it up, and the backside of it was like
just shredded. Right.
He was like, good Lord. I said, just think how those squirrels felt.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Mm. These 10 days confirm my belief in the decency and the strength of wisdom of the American people, but also bore out some of my long-standing concerns about our nation's underlying problems. I know, of course, being resident, the government actions and legislation can be very important. That's why I've worked hard to put my campaign promises into law. And I have to admit, with just mixed successes, but after listening to the American people, I have been reminded again that all the legislation in the world can't fix what's wrong with America. So I want to speak to you first tonight about a subject even more serious than energy or inflation. I want to talk to you right now about a fundamental threat to American democracy. There it is.
It's funny how history repeats itself.
Mm-hmm. I do not mean our political or civil liberties. They will endure, and I will not refer to the outward strength of America, a nation that is at peace tonight everywhere in the world with unmatched economic power and military might. The threat is nearly invisible in ordinary ways. It's a crisis of confidence. It's a crisis that strikes at the very heart and soul and spirit of our national will. We can see this crisis in the growing doubt about the meaning of our own lives and the loss of a unity or purpose for our nation. The erosion of confidence in the future is threatening to destroy the social and political fabric of America. Confidence we have always had as a people is not simply some romantic dream or proverb in a dusty book that we read just on the 4th of July. It is an idea which founded our nation and has guided our development as a people. Confidence in the future has supported everything else. Public institutions, private enterprises, our own families, and the very Constitution of the United States. Confidence has defined our course as it has served as a link between generations. We've always believed in something called progress. We've always had a faith that the days of our children will be better than our own.
Well, hold on. So, God, it's like the Biden administration all over again. The problem isn't our governance. The problem isn't our policies. The problem is you not believing in it.
Right.
That's what he's saying.
Yeah.
It's Biden all over.
Exactly. This is straight from the playbook.
The problem is you.
It's because you got to believe in it, son. If you believe in it, everything will get better.
That's right.
It's like people saying that and no offense here to anybody. It's like saying that if you believe in God, your cancer will go away. That's not how that works. Having a belief in God and not getting treatment for cancer are two different things. Okay.
Right. Yes.
Like if you don't get treatment for cancer, just praying every day isn't going to cure cancer. If there's a way that you can go treat that, and it's sort of like that old tale of this guy that the flood waters are rising, and he goes into his house and climbs up into the first floor, and the floodwaters keep rising, and a boat comes by, and he says, no, God will deliver me. And they continue on their way, and gets to the second floor of his house, and a bigger boat comes by and says, we're here to save you. And he says, oh Lord, no, I'm praying and the Lord will deliver me. And he gets on the roof, and a helicopter comes by, and he says, no, that's okay. God will save me. And then whenever he finally drowns and goes to heaven, and he says, God, I don't understand. You were supposed to save me. He goes, well, shit, I tried 3 times and you turned it down.
Yeah. It's
You
that
know,
that's
it's
not how God works.
right. You know,
it is more the belief that God will give you a favorable outcome. It just may not be the outcome you're wanting.
exactly.
That's
Well,
more
and-
the
and-
belief in God.
I mean, that's something that has strengthened me through my life of understanding that you know, those opportunities are there. You have to take the opportunity whenever it's presented, even if it's a bad outcome, like the loss of a loved one, which is always a hard
Yes.
thing. But the outcome
Yes.
from that loss can lead to other opportunities that you've never would have imagined before.
Right. Exactly.
And it's always hurtful, it's always painful, you know, and you don't want to lose somebody, but in those instances where you do, if you have strength, you know, and faith,
Yes.
that those things come out good. Good morning, Mayor Dan, good to see you.
Morning, Mayor Dan.
And I mean, it's just crazy that people don't understand this, but of course Carter doesn't understand a whole
Yeah,
lot
yes.
at this point. Our people are losing their faith, not only in the government itself, but in the ability of citizens to serve as the ultimate rulers and shapers of our democracy. As a people, we know our past. We're proud of it. Our progress has been a part of the living history of America, even to the world. We always believed that we were part of a great movement of humanity itself called democracy, involved in the search for freedom. And the belief has always strengthened us in our purpose, but just as we are losing our confidence in the future, we are beginning to also close the door on our past.
Well, and also this is post Watergate.
Yeah, and
Of course, a lot of people didn't have faith in their government.
oh no, absolutely not. Well, and here's how I feel about democracy. Every single time I hear this, it reminds me of this.
Democracy is a form of government based upon the principle of majority rule, period. End of discussion. Now, that's not very complicated. Majority rule. It's easy to understand, easy to sell to the masses, and I might add, deadly. For example, what would you call a lynch mob? That's majority rule. There's only one dissenting vote, and he's at the end of the rope. Now, that's pure democracy in action. But wait a minute, you say. The majority should rule, yes, but not to the extent of destroying the rights of the minority. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we are no longer describing a democracy. We are speaking of a republic. A republic is a limited democracy. It's a form of government based upon the principle of limited majority rule. Limited so that the minority, even a minority of one, can be protected against the whims and passions of the majority. And how do you protect the minority from the majority? You write down a set of rules on a piece of paper. You say, this we can do, that we cannot. At the top of the paper, you write the word Constitution. And then everyone agrees to follow the rules no matter what the temptation. And when you're finished, you've created a constitutional republic.
Every damn time.
I love that. I love that speech.
I had to add that in there as almost as a daily reminder to people that we are not a democracy.
We are not a democracy.
Good morning. Our nation was proud of hard work, strong families, close-knit communities, and our faith in God. Too many of us tend to worship self-indulgence and consumption. Human identity is no longer defined by what one does, by what one owns. But yeah, so basically, don't own anything, and you'll be closer to God.
Yeah.
Human identity is no longer defined by what one does, but what one owns. We've discovered that owning things and consuming things does not satisfy our longing for meaning. We've learned that piling up material goods cannot fill the emptiness of lives which have no confidence or purpose. When he's
So,
right in a
so,
sense.
so basically, you don't have the money to be able to buy things for your family, but that's okay. You don't need to be buying it anyway.
Well, yeah, because I mean, there's nothing wrong with having a mortgage rate of like 23%.
Oh dear Lord. Yes.
Imagine you take a loan out on a home, and by the time all is said and done, you paid, oh Jesus, a quarter of what that thing is worth just in interest.
Yeah.
And then you're wondering why people are having a hard time buying a home. Oh my God. And oh, it's big business that caused it. No, it was because of a shitty run government
Right.
raising the interest rate.
Right. All these, all these home mortgages can only go by what the federal government has put out there as, okay, this is what the rate is. And then they have to base their rates off of what the government says the rate is. It has nothing to do with, everybody thinks it's so funny how people don't understand that how little profit a lot of these businesses actually make.
Oh God. Yeah.
Because they have a big overhead, and of course they look at the CEOs, like what happened to God United Healthcare.
Mhm.
They look at the CEOs making all this money, this, that, and the other. Of course, they're managing huge corporations, and nobody's going to go in there and take all that risk and take on that responsibility unless they're getting paid. You wouldn't either.
No, you're handling billions of dollars.
Yeah.
Or hundreds of millions of dollars a year.
Right.
It's not as if you've ever seen anybody that is a CEO and what their day involves, the kind of crap that they have to go through on a daily basis. I worked with this guy that was just like, oh, I think it sucks, because I think I was working at Pep Boys at the time. Yeah. And he was just like, oh, it sucks that this guy's making so much more money. I was like, go get his fucking job. Go take his job.
Yeah.
I
go do what he does.
I was like, if you think that you can do it for the price that you're making right now, the money that you're making right now, you're welcome to do that job. I guarantee you, they would glorify you. Well, first of all, they'd probably laugh at you thinking, why are you doing this so cheap? But if you think you can run this business any better than he can, then go for it.
Yeah.
I was like, the job, there's always that job opening. All you got to do is just apply yourself and you can have that job. Oh, well, I don't have a degree for it. Well, there you go.
Well, and here's the other thing too, and this may offend some people, but you have a different mindset as an hourly employee than you do as someone who's in management. You're looking at things from different scales.
Yes.
As an hourly employee, you're on the ground, you're seeing things day to day, and you're seeing what's going on in your department or whatever. But the person who's in a managerial role sees yours and about 10 others or more. And you're having to scale that to be like, okay, what is best for the entire company by instituting this policy or doing this, that, and the other. And that's the reason. And it's a completely different mindset doing that as opposed to working a day-to-day hourly job.
Yeah.
Because when your shift is up, you go home and then you can forget about it.
Yeah.
They can't.
Their shift is never up.
Yes.
One of the guys that was in a manager position at the dealership that I worked at, his wife worked for a major car company.
Yeah.
And her inbox, she would sit at dinner. They would be out for dinner, and she had her phone on her because she was handling TPO reports that her managers from all of the dealerships were sending in to her.
Right.
If there was an issue at one of the dealerships of something not adding up or money wasn't correct, any number of things. And her email box, she would answer 10 emails, and for every 10 emails, she was getting 50 that were loading up. And she slept maybe 2 or 3 hours. We're talking about, and people say, well, why don't women run these, why aren't they CEOs and stuff? And she could tell you exactly why. She goes, I don't have time for kids, which is why I have none. I don't have time to sit around and hang out and enjoy. There is no vacation for me. I don't have vacation because there is nobody that is going to answer the questions that only I can answer.
Exactly.
Like my life is consumed by this, and that is difficult on women to do, to not be able to have that escape. And it's just men and women are built completely different. Not saying that women can't do it, because she clearly did do it, but she paid the price for it.
Yeah.
There's a reason why presidents go gray the first 4 years that they're in presidency.
Look at every president, especially one that served 2 terms. Look at them from the day they're inaugurated until the day they leave, and look at the difference. Look at the aging.
Yeah, they age like 30 years. I mean, because you look at, perfect example. Look at Obama whenever he went in, or even Bill Clinton whenever he went in.
Yeah.
I mean, by the time that they're leaving, they're just like, they're looking old. I was surprised President Trump didn't. I mean, it's like he got younger looking because he thrives on it. You have to understand, he's been running the company for decades.
Obama is the best example, because he went in, young, dapper, dark-headed, and by the time he got out, he was gray-headed and weathered, and he looked rough.
Yeah. I mean, he looked like he went rail thin too.
Yeah,
like he still had that little bit of chubbiness of youth, but man, he just looked gone. It was like, dude. The symptoms of this crisis, America's spirit, are all around us. For the first time in history of our country, a majority of our people believe that the next 5 years will be worse than the past 5 years. 2/3 of our people do not even vote. The productivity of American work is actually dropping, and the willingness of Americans to save for the future has fallen below that of all other people in the Western world. That's because the government was taking so much of it.
Yes.
As you know, there's a growing disrespect for government and for churches and for schools, the news media. Oh, really sounds familiar. And other institutions. This is not a message of happiness or reassurance, but it's a truth, and it's a warning. These changes did not happen overnight. They come upon us gradually over the last generation. Years that were filled with shocks and tragedy.
And didn't Carter institute the Department of Education while he was president?
I believe that's correct.
Yeah, I believe that's right.
We were sure that ours was a nation of the ballot, not the bullet, until the murders of John Kennedy and Robert Kennedy and Martin Luther King Jr. We were taught that our armies were always invincible and our causes were always just, only to suffer the agony of Vietnam. We respected the presidency as a place of honor until the shock of Watergate. We remember when the phrase "sound as a dollar" was an expression of absolute dependability, until 10 years ago of inflation began to shrink our dollar and our savings and taking us off the fucking gold standard. Nixon. We believed that our nation's resources were limitless until 1973, when we had to face a growing dependence on foreign oil, which they didn't have to. They just chose to.
Yep.
These wounds are still very deep, and they have never healed. Looking for a way out of our crisis, our people have turned to the federal government and found it isolated from the mainstreams of our nation's life. Washington, D.C. has become an island. A gap between our citizens and our government has never been so wide till now. The people are looking for honest answers, not easy answers, clear leadership, not false claims and evasiveness in politics as usual. What you see too often in Washington and elsewhere around the country is a system of government that seems incapable of action. You see a Congress twisted and pulled in every direction by hundreds of well-financed and powerful special interests that hasn't changed.
Nope.
You see every extreme position defended to the last vote, almost to the last breath, by one unyielding group or another. You see a balanced and a fair approach that demands a little sacrifice from everyone, and abandoned like an orphan without support and without friends, as it should be. This is the way that government. That is the point of having our government run the way that it is. You are supposed to be taking these decisions with the utmost. I'm trying to find the proper word for it. diligence. You're wanting to make sure that whenever you pass a law that you don't have pork filled in with this. Think about this last bill that they tried to pass just for funding our federal government. It is a stack of papers, and that's half of the stack. Double what I'm holding right here. Imagine reams and reams of paper. Was it 1,500 pages?
Yeah.
Of pork, of bullshit.
Well, I keep going back to the Obamacare legislation.
Oh God!
How they just they shoved 700 pages down these congressmen's throats,
and then got mad because
right before. Yeah, and then they got mad because people didn't want to sign it. Now, of course, it passed because it was a Democrat majority, but it was like, okay, we don't even have time for our aides. They don't read it. Their aides read it. We don't have time for our aides to read all this. But you want us to just pass it and then find out what's in it later? That's not the way it's supposed to work.
No, it never has been. Often you see this paralysis and stagnation and drift. You don't like it? Well, neither do I, but what can we do?
You're the president!
Yes, you're the president.
That's your job.
Often you see paralysis and stagnation and drift. If you don't like, neither do I. What we can do, first of all, we must face the truth, and then we can change our course. We simply must have faith in each other, faith in our ability to govern ourselves, and faith in the future of this nation. Restoring that faith and the confidence to America is now the most important task we face. It's a true challenge of this generation of Americans. One of the visitors to Camp David last week put it this way: we got to stop crying and start sweating, stop talking, start walking, stop cursing and start praying. The strength we need will not come from the White House, but every house in America. We know the strength of America. We are strong. We can regain our unity. We can regain our confidence. We are the heirs of generations who survived threats much more powerful and awesome than those that challenge us now. Our fathers and mothers were strong men and women who shaped a new society during the Great Depression, who fought world wars, who carved out a new character of peace for the world. We ourselves are the same Americans who just 10 years ago put a man on the moon. We are the generation that dedicated our society to the pursuit of human rights and equality. We are the generation that will win the war on the energy problem, and that process rebuilding the unity and confidence of America. Jesus.
That'll happen in a couple of years.
Yeah.
A couple of years
after Reagan got in.
When Reagan got in.
We are at a turning point in our history. There are two paths to choose. One is the path I've warned about tonight, the path that leads to fragmentation and self-interest. Down that road lies a mistaken idea of freedom, the right to grasp ourselves some advantage over other. That path would be one of constant conflict between narrow interests ending in chaos and immobility. It is a certain route to failure. All the traditions of our past, all the legends of our heritage, all the promises of our future to another path, the path of the common purpose and the restoration of American values. That path leads to true freedom of our nation and ourselves. We can take the first steps down that path as we begin to solve our energy problem. Energy will be the immediate test of our ability to unite this nation. It can also be a standard around which we rally. Our battlefield of energy, we can win for our nation. New confidence, we can seize control again of our common destiny. In a little more than 2 decades, we've gone from a position of energy independence to one of almost half the oil we use comes from foreign countries. The prices that are going through the roof. Our excessive dependence on OPEC has already taken a tremendous toll on our economy and our people. This is direct cause along the lines which have made millions of you spend aggravating hours waiting for gasoline. Yes.
Dear Lord.
It's a cause of the increased inflation, unemployment that we now face. And see, like I said, fuel driving the force of America. This was not a novel idea.
What have
4 years ago?
What have we said for months and months? You want to know the real reason for inflation? You want to know the real reason why your prices are so much higher at the grocery store and Walmart and wherever? It's gasoline.
Mm-hmm. It's a cause for increased inflation and unemployment that we now face. Is this intolerable dependence on foreign oil threatens our economic independence and the very security of our nation. The energy crisis is real. It's worldwide. It's a clear and present danger to our nation. These are facts. We simply must face them. What I have to say to you now about energy is simple and vitally important. Point one, tonight setting a clear goal for the energy policy of the United States. Beginning this moment, this nation will never use more foreign oil than we did in 1977. Never. From now on, every new addition to our demand for energy will be met with our own production and our own conservation. The generation-long growth in our dependence on foreign oil will be stopped dead in its tracks right now, and then reversed as we move through the 1980s. For I'm setting the further goal of cutting our dependence on foreign oil by 1/2 of the next decade and saving of over 4.5 billion of barrels of imported oil per day. Point two, to ensure that we meet these targets, we use my presidential authority to set important quotas. I'm announcing tonight that for 79 and 80, I will forbid the entry into this country of 1 drop of foreign oil more than these goals allow. These quotas will ensure a reduction in imports even below the ambitious levels we all set out in a recent Tokyo summit. Point three.
Here's my thing. Okay, that sounds good, but was American production increased?
No.
See, that's the
during
problem.
During the 80s, it was increased under Reagan. Whenever you
under
had the
Reagan.
big oil booms.
I'm talking about under Carter.
No. Well, under Carter, part of the policies that he did create in this did help that move forward, but it doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah, I understand that.
And during the 80s, like the oil boom in Texas, New Mexico, all the oil producing states exploded. Why do you think there were so many billionaires that were, well, at the time it was millionaires, like exploded during the 80s? I mean, there was people like Ross Perot. That's how he became a millionaire.
Yep.
Like this little guy bought up land and they drilled and drilled and drilled.
T-Boone Pickens.
Oh man, it was insane. The amount of, I mean, it was like almost overnight. These guys, imagine it's sort of a little bit like that. The drug dealers back in the 80s, where it's like, oh, we're not selling weed. We're going to get this thing called cocaine from Colombia. Cool. And they started flying planes in and started selling this stuff off. They ended up with so much money that it's like, what do we do with all of this? I mean, it's like, this is so much money. Yeah. No one mention of Billy Beer. Not one mention of Billy Beer.
Right?
Yeah.
Billy Carter.
I will forbid the entry in this country 1 drop of foreign oil. Point three, to give us energy security. I'm asking for the most massive peacetime commitment of funds and resources in our nation's history to develop America's own alternative sources of fuel.
Alternative.
Sounds familiar, doesn't it?
Yeah,
from coal, oil
familiar.
shale, from plant products, from gasohol. Oh yeah, I remember this is when ethanol really started taking off, because they were dedicating the amount of corn in places that were feeding the American population. Not only America, but they were shipping this corn over to other countries to feed them. All that production got turned over, because I can distinctly remember driving or riding in the car going down the road, and all the damn signs that they were using to create gasohol. It was ethanol that they were creating using corn.
Now, of course, this is back when you got leaded gasoline too.
Oh yeah. 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 Wait until they kicked that out. They got rid of lead. I remember there was one gas station where you could get leaded gasoline, because leaded gasoline, believe it or not, would also help out your car. Yeah. Like whenever they started putting regular gas in there, there's a reason why it's called regular,
right,
or unleaded.
Right.
Whenever you went and got that gasoline, it would mess up your car really bad. No different than ethanol mess up some of the older cars.
Yep.
From If you don't believe me, take your regular car that's not set up for it and go pump E30 in there. I think was it E30. Go pump some
Or,
ethanol in your car and see what happens to the engine.
or better yet, this is a classic example. Try to run ethanol-based gasoline in your lawnmower.
Oh yeah,
That will mess it up quicker than anything.
yeah. Your car has to be designed to handle ethanol.
Yeah.
That's why they have ethanol cars that you can. And I think it's E30. I think that's right.
I thought it was E85.
Yeah, that might be right. I think it's 85. You're probably right.
Because I had for previous employer, they gave me a company car, and it was an Impala.
It might have been like a Ford Fusion.
Yeah, it was a brand new Impala, but it was set up. It was set up for E85.
Yeah, they call it the flex fuel.
Yes,
that's
flex
what they call
fuel.
it.
Yep.
Like you can run either or in the regular gas or ethanol. But
right.
Yeah. Oh, it'll mess a car up.
I never put that stuff into the car, but it was set up for it.
Yeah. From unconventional gas from the sun, I propose the creation of an energy security corporation to lead this effort to replace 2.5 million barrels of imported oil per day by 1990. The corporation, I will issue up to $5 billion in energy bonds, and especially want them all to be small denominations so the average American can invest directly in America's energy security. Just as a similar synthetic rubber corporation helped us win World War II, we will mobilize American determination and ability to win the energy war. Moreover, I will soon submit legislation to Congress calling for the creation of this nation's first solar bank, which will help us achieve the crucial goal of 20% of our energy coming from solar power by the year 2000.
Oops.
Yeah, because they were worried about global cooling at the time.
Yes.
That was one of their big pushes. These efforts would cost lots of money, and that's why Congress must enact a windfall profits tax without delay. It would be money well spent, unlike the billions of dollars that we ship to foreign countries to pay for foreign oil. Sounds familiar.
Windfall profits tax.
Yep.
That sounds familiar.
Well, these funds will be paid by Americans to Americans. These funds will go to fight, not to increase inflation and unemployment.
We know better what to do with your money than you do.
Exactly. This is why government overreach never works. Point 4, I'm asking for Congress to mandate to require as a matter of law that our nation's utility companies cut their massive use of oil by 50% within the next decade and switch to other fuels, especially coal, our most abundant energy source.
He's calling for coal. He's calling for coal back then, but now they're like, we need to shut down all the coal plants.
Yeah, we need to shut down the coal plants and go solar. Again, this doesn't work. Point 5, to make absolutely certain that nothing stands in the way of achieving these goals, I will urge Congress to create an energy mobilization board, which, like the World War II production board in World War II, will have the responsibility and authority to cut through that red tape, the delays, the endless roadblocks to completing key energy projects. We will protect our environment. Yeah. We'll protect our environment by opening up more coal plants, but when this nation critically needs a refinery or a pipeline, we will build it. And they did, because, like I said, 80s boomed. Point 6, I'm proposing a bold conservation program to involve every state, county, and city, the average American in our energy battle. This effort will permit you to build conservation into your homes and lives at a cost you can afford. I ask Congress to give me the authority for mandatory conservation for standby gasoline rationing, like World War II, to further conserve energy. I'm proposing tonight an extra $10 billion over the next decade to strengthen our public transportation systems, and I'm asking you, for your good and your nation's security, to take no unnecessary trips, to use carpools or public transportation whenever you can, to park your car one extra day per week, to obey the speed limit, and set your thermostats to save fuel. Every act of energy conservation like this is more than just common sense. I'll tell you, it's an act of patriotism.
I love how a guy from the Georgia Sticks, who should know better,
Yeah.
It's talking about public transportation. You live out in these rural areas, there ain't no public transportation.
Well, and this was also a big cutoff to a lot of people that were leaving the cities. Because you have to understand, during this time, you had what they call the Great White Flight. You had a lot of people that were just like, I'm out of the city. I'm done. Like, my city has gone so far, so bad that it is unbearable living here.
Yeah.
And it was people that had been, working these blue collar jobs and started building up in the suburbs. And that's whenever they started moving out of the cities. Just because the crime rates had gotten so bad. Crime rates increase. Whenever inflation increases, crime rates increase. Whenever it becomes harder to get resources, crime rates increase. You get more criminals. And if you don't have the money to get the hell out of Dodge, look at what happened in New York. Look what happened in California. How many people left California over the past 4 years?
Oh, dear Lord.
Because it's gotten so bad.
I saw an article where they got rated the worst state in the damn country. California.
And they move, then they take their happy asses to places like Tennessee and Georgia.
We're
and then
full.
you have to
We're full.
You have to just sit there and go, you understand why these states are so good. It's because you're not there.
We're like the parking garage. When you pull up to Tennessee, it has a sign that says full.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because here in Georgia, we all sit on our front porches, play banjos. We all are armed. There is a county where it is mandatory. Our nation must be fair to the poorest among us.
Fulton?
No, Cobb.
Oh, Cobb. Yeah.
Actually, to be honest about it, I believe it is Canton, either Canton, Georgia, or Ackworth. I can't remember off the top of my head, but like they have an ordinance that says you have to own a firearm. I mean, nobody really follows it, but it's still on the books.
I'm not surprised.
Just don't be surprised.
Having traveled that area quite a bit, I'm not surprised.
No. I lived in that area for a little while. I'll tell you. I've got to grab some more coffee. I'm going to take just a short break. You ready?
Yep, do it.
Shizzy, when it's chat we thrive, where Shizzy does dance and memes arrive. No quiet moments, no dull night. We laugh and funny sight. Oh, Shizzy's crowd, you're wild and true, with crazy gifts and jokes that flew. We're living pixels in the stream, a digital dream, a shared daydream. From shoutouts to those random screams, to inside jokes and endless memes. We talk and Shizzy, when it's chat we thrive, where Shizzy does dance and memes arrive. No quiet moments, no dull night. We laugh and funny sight. Oh, Shizzy's crowd, you're wild and true, with crazy gifts and jokes that flew. We're living pixels in the stream, a digital dream, a shared daydream. From shoutouts to those random screens, and inside jokes and endless memes. In Shizzy, when it's chat we thrive, where Shizzy does dance and memes arrive. No quiet moments, no dull night. We laugh and funny sight. Oh, Shizzy's crowd, you're wild and true, with crazy gifts and jokes that flew. We're living pixels in the stream, a digital dream, a shared daydream. From shoutouts to those random screens, from inside jokes and endless memes. We type our hearts, we spam the love. Our chat rooms like a lit up club. Our chat rooms like a lit up club. Oh, Shizzy's crowd, you're wild and true, with crazy gifts and jokes that flew. Oh, Shizzy's crowd, you're wild and true, with crazy gifts and jokes that flew. We'll live in pixels in the stream, a digital dream, a shared daydream.
Oh yeah.
I'm so grateful that song is long.
Yeah. No, it was intentional making it that long, so that way I can get coffee. Sometimes I give my wife a kiss on the cheek, except this morning because she's sick. I don't want to get any sicker.
No, and apparently a lot of that's going around. So luckily, I encountered all that weeks ago, so I'm not having to go through what everybody else is having to go through during the holidays.
True. I didn't have to go through it with the holidays, except my wife did.
Yeah.
I'm surprised I'm not sick right now. I'm just like, damn.
Right. And normally I am. For some reason, I have this history of around Christmas, I either get hurt and have to go to the damn ER, or I'm sick. And luckily, knock on wood, as an adult, I haven't had to experience it nearly as much as I did as a kid.
Yeah.
Thank goodness.
Oh my God. I just realized, I realized that me doing night streams, I might get a little bit more Yamaha.
Yeah. That's what the people want.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause he is a night owl. He is very much a night owl. Oh yes, between Tug and Megan, with also your stream, I was up all night. Thank you for the laughs. My mirrors are still turned, not going out. I'll scare people. Thank you, Tracy, for the €5 super chat.
Okay, you gotta explain the mirrors thing to me.
Okay, so she was like, I look so horrible that I don't want to look in a mirror because it'll scare me to death.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yes, I love it. It's awesome. Oh, and there is a goal up there, just so you guys know. You'll get an extra half hour if I get enough super chats in there. And the reason that goal is so high because I'm like, I don't know if I can do an extra half hour in the mornings. But I will. I promise you I will.
Why, your boss is sick? I mean,
Well, and we're not working today, but I'm trying to get myself into that schedule coming into the new year. So.
Gotcha. Okay.
So it's like I said, I'm doing this intentionally, and like I said again, thank you very much, Tracy Welder. And tonight, be expecting some more good stuff. It will be coming.
Oh yes.
Mm-hmm. We know we can do it. We have the national resources. We also have more oil in our shale alone than several Saudi Arabias. We have more coal than any nation on earth. You haven't seen China lately. We have the highest level of technology. We have the most skilled workforce with innovative genius. And I firmly believe that we have the national will to win this war. I do not promise you that this struggle for freedom will be easy. I do not promise a quick way out of our nation's problem when the truth is that the only way out is an all-out effort. What I promise you is that I will lead our fight and I will enforce fairness in our struggle. DI.
Enforce fairness.
And I will ensure honesty, and above all, I will act, not like an actor, but an act. We can manage the short-term shortages for effectively, and we will. And there are no short-term solutions to our long-range problems. There is simply no way to avoid the sacrifice. 12 hours from now, I will speak again in Kansas City to expand and to explain further our energy program, just as the search for solutions to our energy shortages has now led us to a new awareness of our nation's deeper problems. So our willingness to work out for those solutions in energy can strengthen us and attack those deeper problems. I will continue to travel this country, burning up gasoline to hear what the American people, you can help me to develop a national agenda for the 80s. I will listen. I will act. We will act together. These were promises I made 3 years ago, and I intend to keep them little by little. We must rebuild our confidence. We can spend until we empty our treasuries, and we may summon all the wonders of science, but we can succeed only if we tap our greatest resources, the Americans' values, and America's confidence. I have seen the strength of America and the inexhaustible resources of our peoples. We, in the days to come, let us renew that strength in the struggle for an energy secure nation. In closing, let me say this: I will do my best, and I will not do it alone. Let your voice be heard. Whenever you have a chance, say something good about our country. With God's help, we can. For the sake of our nation, it is time for us to join hands in America. Let us commit ourselves together to the rebirth of the American spirit, working together with our common faith that we cannot fail. Thank you and good night. Yeah.
Dear Lord.
Yeah, that was the Malays speech. It was,
I'd never heard it before, so
it's just sort of that kind of typical, garbage that
it's you know, despite our policies, you people aren't working hard enough. That's exactly what that sounds like.
Yeah, or you don't have enough faith. You don't have enough faith in government.
You don't have enough faith in government. You know who was in government at this time as a senator? Joe Biden.
Joe Biden. Yep. Yep. It's your fault, not our government's fault.
It's your fault. You do not have faith.
Yeah. It is impossible to avoid the subject this morning. I really did want to lead off with something different today, but when a former president dies, that's news for a few days. Greg covered the news of the death of former President Jimmy Carter here. Carter reached the ripe old age of 100 and has been in hospice care for what seemed like a record amount of time, so his passing wasn't a surprise. Most of Carter's president, and they even wheeled him to the polls to vote.
Yeah, I remember. So he can vote for Camel Toe.
Yeah. It is impossible to avoid the subject this morning. Most of Carter's presidency happened while I was finishing up high school. It wasn't much of a news junkie then, but I was aware enough that Carter was the first president candidate I ever voted against when I was old enough. Exactly.
Poor Gerald Ford. Poor
Yeah.
Gerald Ford.
Yeah. My town hall colleague, Sarah Arnold, covers some of the reactions to Carter's death, including this one from Donald Trump. I just heard the news about the passing of President Jimmy Carter, who those of us who have been fortunate to have served as president understand this is a very exclusive club, and only we can relate to the enormous responsibility of leading the greatest nation in history. Trump wrote on True Social, Melania and I are thinking warmly of the Carter family and their loved ones during this difficult time. We urge everyone to keep them in their heart and prayers. A lot of people like to remember Carter fondly for the humanitarian work he did during his very long post-presidency. Yes. The awfulness of his, yeah.
He headed up so many Habitat for Humanity projects. I mean,
God, yes.
I even think Tennessee's governor came out and talked about that after on the news of Carter's passing. He praised Carter for all of his humanitarian efforts because there was no doubt he was a good man. He was just a bad president.
Yeah, it's just and people don't understand this they think that just because you're a good president makes you a good person, or just because you're a bad president makes you a bad person, then
right,
or congressman or whatever it might be, doesn't mean that you're a bad person, just that your policy sucks and people don't want to be any part of it. And that's the same way with all a lot of this hatred that you're seeing towards other people, whether it be politicians or YouTubers or any crap like that, boils around to you just don't like that person. It doesn't mean that they're a bad person, but they're not. They haven't disassociated themselves from that.
We've gotten to the point to where we treat people like our sports teams. Mm-hmm. It's I of course am a Tennessee fan, so I hate every other fan base that there is. Yes. And all of them hate my team. All right.
Right.
We've gotten beyond the point of looking at things objectively. Like I can look at presidents. I can look at YouTubers. I can look at I can see the good and the bad in all of it. I can be objective. It's,
Right.
there's like a lot of the stuff that's going on. I see some positives and I see a hell of a lot of negatives, and that's both sides. That's both
exactly.
sides. And
Debbie, don't make me
yes,
time you out.
Yes,
Don't make me.
no,
time
don't you dare! Don't you dare touch her! Don't you dare!
I wouldn't do that. Oh. No, and you have to understand that we can sit here and both Ballstorm and I, my wife went to UGA. She's a double dog, and Volstorm supports the Vols, and we both support each other.
Right.
In that it's like as long as we're not playing each other, we're just go
it's
Vols.
fine. Exactly.
And then once we go against each other, it's like, okay, I don't want to talk to you for
right
4 hours.
Right.
Depending on who wins,
especially if we lose, I don't want to talk to anybody.
Exactly.
That goes with any loss. I just don't want to talk to anybody. But it's like, people have a hard time looking at things objectively, seeing both the good and the bad, and calling stuff for what it is, regardless of what, regardless if you're left, if you're right, if you're pro this, if you're pro that. It's,
as long as you're not hurting kids.
Yeah,
I don't care.
Because look,
I don't care what people's politics are.
Going back to the sports analogy, I can love my team and I can still call out all the flaws. Now I get called a bad fan for doing that, but I have no problem calling out the flaws because I want the best in my team. And it's the same thing with anything else.
Same way with politics.
Same way with politics. Like, there's a lot of stuff about Trump that I like, and there's a few things I absolutely cannot stand. And that's just the way it is.
It is. Whew. A lot of people like to remember Connolly for the humanitarian work he did for his long post-presidency. The awfulness of his tenure in the White House tends to get buried under all the decades after it, or so the Democrats hope. Robert wrote a detailed breakdown on a lot of what Jimmy Carter just got wrong in just 4 short years. One of his supposed triumphs wasn't one at all. Carter received a great deal of praise as well as a Nobel Peace Prize for the Camp David Accords, but in reality, they accomplished little. The final agreement had Israel making substantial territorial concessions in exchange for promises that Egypt would not attack Israel, which the Egyptians kept asking U.S. foreign aid was made contingent upon peace. Other than that, the Accords brought no peace to the Middle East. They legitimized the existence of the Palestinian people, a propaganda invention of the KGB in the 1960s. They advanced.
What?
Yeah.
Read that part again.
They legitimized the existence of the Palestinian people, a propaganda invention of the KGB in the 1960s.
There you go for all you pro-Palestine people.
And advanced the claim that Israel was occupying Palestinian territory to which only Israel had a legitimate claim. After his presidency, Carter wrote several books about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict that have brought him charges of anti-Semitism. The deep bias of Camp David Accord strongly suggests that even at the time, he had an animus towards Israel. His palpable lack of sympathy for the Jews of Israel, who were permanently under siege, continued to the end of his long life. Is the anti-Semitism that I remember more than the Habitat for Humanity or any of the other fluffy post-presidency stuff I thought a lot about, while the Democrats have been turning blind eyes to all of the Free Palestine protests this year. That's Jimmy Carter's legacy. The New York Times wrote an article about Carter's habit of criticizing his successors, violating an unwritten code among ex-presidents. That's rich, given how poorly he performed in the role. Until Joe Biden came along, every man who followed Carter to the Oval Office was far better at the gig, even Barack Obama. Okay, maybe the Lightbringer was only a little better at the gig. The headline today promised that I would have something nice to say about Carter, and I'm getting to that now. Jimmy Carter's disastrous turn as the 39th president hastened the arrival of Ronald Reagan as the 40th president. So who knows how it might have gone if Carter had been successful. Trump said that we all owe Carter a debt of gratitude. I don't think that he had Carter's paving the way for Reagan in mind when he wrote that, but I'll amend it for my own purposes. I will be forever grateful that Carter's ineptitude led to the 1980 election of our greatest president since Abraham Lincoln.
I swear I didn't write this.
That was so rich. I was just like, oh my
That's
God.
great. That's great.
Oh my God. It drove. I'm sitting there going, does anybody ever notice that there was so many things that this guy did that was bad. I mean, like here you go. There it is. Jimmy Carter, Joe Biden. You notice that Joe Biden has more hair now than he did back then.
That is funny.
The curtain has finally come down on one of the longest acts in American history. After lingering in hospice care for nearly 2 years, Jimmy Carter has deceased at the age of 100. Now, as we all learned in Latin class, de mortis nisi bonum is only to say good things about the dead. And by most accounts, Jimmy Carter was a decent fellow who tried to do the right thing by his lights. There's no Latin maximum, however, about not speaking of the dead of president's time in the Oval Office. And on that score, a great deal can be and should be said about Jimmy Carter. Although Carter was the longest lived president of the United States ever, it's a shame he didn't live even longer. The second Trump administration promises to put an end to the long, slow decline of the United States and now well-established habit of betraying our allies that Carter did so much to initiate. It's too bad that Carter won't be around to witness American resurgence if that is the late president's friends and ideological kin don't manage to block any such rebound. Back in 1978, when America was in the midst of Carter's weak and sanctimonious presidency, the earnest chief executive lowered taxes and proposed cuts in federal spending. Then he immediately contradicted his efforts to bring fiscal responsibility to the enormous and ever-growing federal government by creating a new cabinet-level agency, the Department of Education. So there you were correct. This new agency introduced the federal government into areas that had hitherto been under private control. Constitutional literalists pointed out that there was no mention of education in the nation's founding document, and hence no clear warrant for the federal government to get involved in it. 40 plus years later, Carter's education department bears vivid witness to the fact that putting something under the control of the federal bureaucracy invariably makes it less efficient, more wasteful, more bloated than it would have been otherwise.
Like airports.
The test scores, yes. Yeah. The test scores of American students have been plummeting, and the left has used Carter's department to introduce all manner of woke madness into American schools. Trump has pledged to close the Department of Education. Please do. And if he does manage to do it, American students might have a fighting chance to get a good education. Not just an education, but a good education. There's a reason why prisons and schools look identical.
Before Carter instituted the Department of Education, America was number 1 in the world for education. Now we're like 30th, 40th.
Yes. If even that high. I think we're like 78 or something. We're way down there.
Oh, I
like
didn't think
it
we were
is
that low.
Yeah, we're pretty damn low. I mean, we're barely rating above third world countries in education. Barely.
Well, and I go back to the whole the thing about the airports. Used to, before the TSA came along,
yes,
airport security was private, and it was so much easier to be able to go along with your day to day. And I don't feel like we're any safer having the government run it than we did when there were private companies running it.
I mean, because I vividly remember when I went into basic training, I took a bus from where I lived in New Mexico to El Paso, got on a plane, and literally got on a plane. I carried my bags to the counter. They took my bags, and I got on a plane. Well, my bag, it was just a suitcase. Yeah. And I got on the plane. I didn't have to go through any check. I didn't have to sign anything. I didn't have to have my body scanned. I didn't have anybody telling me to take off my shoes. I didn't have any dogs sniffing at my packages. And I climbed on a plane. I flew to Fort Jackson, to South Carolina. I got off of the plane and I walked out after grabbing my bags. Didn't have to sign anything or go through any sort of security check. As compared to now, if you just want to take a trip to Florida, just a short trip to Florida, like fly down to the Keys, for example. You're like, oh, I'm just going to take a little jumper, fly down to the Keys. You have to arrive 2 hours ahead of time so you can get through the TSA lines.
Yes.
And then you are poked, prodded. They go through every bit of your personal stuff. It makes it really difficult to carry vibrators on board now.
Well, that's why you got to tape down the on and off switch so it doesn't accidentally come on. Yeah,
I thought you were supposed to leave it on so that way it would vibrate all the way there.
I do that with I have like a little kit, like a bathroom kit, top kit, whatever you want to call it. And I of course have an electric razor in there, and I purposely tape down the on and off button because I don't want it to accidentally come on in the shuffle and then be like, having to pull my bag and pull me off the plane, all that other crap.
And Rosalind is correct in saying this too. Yes, I did smoke cigarettes, and the smoking section was in the back of the plane. Yes, I did smoke cigarettes on that flight too, because they had smoking sections.
Okay, I am glad they cut that out.
Yeah, I am glad they cut that out too. But I'm just saying, and some of the older planes still have those ashtrays there.
Well, I remember it. Hell, you go into a damn Shoney's and they would have, you want the smoking section or the non-smoking section? Well, for crying out loud, if you're smoking inside an enclosed area, the whole damn thing's a smoking section.
It is. They always put it in the very front, like the non-smokers would sit in the back, and they would have to walk through all those smokers to get there.
You're like, why do my pancakes taste like ash?
Because the guy cooking your pancakes back there is smoking.
Yeah.
Oh God. Shizzy wore a suit, smoked a cigarette, and ate a T-bone.
Yeah, he did.
That was at the strip club.
It's cheaper.
It's cheaper.
Nothing like a good strip club buffet.
Shizzy would miss the fart box finger punch though.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, Yamaha's awake.
Good times indeed. I'd go smoke in the bathroom. You're in Florida today. It's foggy, but no snow. It's nice. I'm in St. Petersburg till tonight. Oh,
it was foggy here this morning, like bad.
Yeah, it was foggy here yesterday morning. But I've got new headlights in my car, so
there you go.
A little better.
There you go.
So Carter establishes sanctimonious style of subsequent Democrat presidents on the partial exception of Bill. I did not have sexual relationships with that woman, Clinton, on April 18th, 1977, with inflation and unemployment spiraling ever upward. Carter went on television, The Guys, which we just read. And Carter, the peevish scold, told Americans it was all their fault. We must not be selfish or timid if we hope to have a decent world for our children and our grandchildren. Each American uses energy equivalent of 60 barrels of oil per person each year. Ours is the most wasteful nation on earth. We wasted more energy than we import. With about that same standard of living, we use twice as much energy per person as do other countries like Germany, Japan, and Sweden. Echoing Lyndon Johnson's war on poverty, Carter created another unwinnable war against the nebulous foe. This difficult effort will be the moral equivalent of war, except that we will be uniting our efforts to build and not to destroy. But the whole endeavor was built on sand. There was actually no energy crisis. The world's oil reserves did not run out until the 1980s, and not because Carter saved the day by winning his moral equivalent of war. The real problem was that Carter only made it worse. Oil companies were so beset with restrictions and regulations that they could not take adequate steps to find new oil supplies. That is true. Carter's successor, Ronald Reagan, changed that, and the days of the energy crisis were over, and the 1980s boomed, at least until the apocalyptic climate hysteria of a different kind became the centerpiece later in Democrats' presidents, and we'll remember Al Gore for that one. And is so often the case, it gets worse. In September of 1978, President Carter invited Egyptian President Anwar Sadat and Israeli Prime Minister Menachem, I think that's right, Menachem Begin, I'm going to say the names wrong, to Presidents Camp David to end the protracted conflict between the two countries. Sadat told his aides, "What we are after is to win over world opinion. President Carter is on our side. This will end in Benin's downfall." And he was right. Carter told Sadat, "I will represent your interests as if they were my own. You are my brother." A jubilant Sadat told his aides that poor, naive Carter was ready to pressure into giving Egypt everything it wanted. Hopefully you didn't hear that. Hopefully the mute button
No,
worked.
you're good. You're good.
Good. Sadat was right, Mr. Prime Minister, Carter told Begin icily after Sadat presented his proposals. That is not only the view of Sadat, it's also the American view, and you will have to accept it. Angrily, he repeated, "You will have to accept it." These proposals included Israel's withdrawal from the Sinai Peninsula, which Israel had occupied after Egypt attacked in 1967. If I'm not mistaken, wasn't that part of the 7-Day War? Where territorial expansion at the expense of an aggressor nation has been recognized as the right of the victor in a war from time immemorial. Carter was determined that that would not apply to Israel. He also wanted Israel to acknowledge that it was carrying out an illegitimate occupation of Palestinian land. He complained to Begin that, "Listen, we're trying to help you bring peace to your land. You would have us feel that we're going out of our way to deliberately be unfair to Israel as possible." Indeed. Carter received a great deal of praise as well as a Nobel Peace Prize for the Camp David Accords, but in reality, they accomplished little. The final agreement had Israel making substantial territorial concessions in exchange for promises that Egypt would not attack Israel, which the Egyptians kept because U.S. foreign aid was made contingent upon peace. Other than that, the Accords brought no peace to the Middle East. They legitimized the existence of the Palestinian people, a propaganda invented again by the KGB in the 1960s, and advanced the claim that Israel is occupying Palestinian territory to which only Israel had a legitimate claim. After his presidency, Carter wrote several books about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict that have brought him charges of anti-Semitism. The deep bias of the Camp David Accords strongly suggests that even at the time, he had animus towards Israel, his palatable lack of sympathy for the Jews of Israel, who are under permanent siege, continuing to the end of his long life. As protests against the rule of another American ally, the Shah of Iran, I remember that one, engulfed the country. Carter abandoned the Shah to his fate. The Shah later recounted, "The fact that no one contacted me during the crisis in any official way explains everything about the American attitude. It is clear to me now that the Americans wanted me out." On January 4th, 1979, Carter told French President Valéry Giscard d'Estaing that the U.S. was abandoning its ally, withdrawing all support from the Shah and backing the Ayatollah Khomeini. "I was horrified," recalled Giscard. "The only way I can describe Jimmy Carter is that he was a bastard of conscience." On January 16th, 1979, the Shah and his family left Iran. The Islamic Republic of Iran was established soon after.
Republic.
9 months later, on October 23rd, 1979, Carter reluctantly allowed the gravely ill Shah to enter the U.S. for medical treatment. On November 4th, a group called itself Muslim Student Followers of the Imam's Line, that is, Khomeini's line, retaliated by entering the U.S. Embassy compound in Tehran and taking hostage the skeleton staff of 66 that was still serving there after the fall of the Shah. Khomeini sneered, "Jimmy Carter is too much of a coward to confront us militarily." Carter did, however, mount Operation Eagle Claw to rescue the hostages in April of 1980, which was a miserable failure. A crash killed 8 U.S. military personnel. 52 hostages remained in captivity for 400 144 days, only to be freed on January 20th, 1981, the day that Reagan took office.
Mm-hmm.
A pattern of American impotence and betrayal of its allies was established. And top of all of that, of course, Carter gave way to the Panama Canal. I forgot about that too. America last decision that Trump has vowed to reverse. As President, Jimmy Carter was as sanctimonious as he was inept. America is still paying the price for the damage he wrought during his presidency, and it's a shame he will not see the efforts to reverse the effects of his disastrous legacy.
All right. Two things. One, I didn't know that Carter gave away the Panama Canal.
Yeah.
And two, you see a pattern. A lot of the stuff that happened during the Carter administration is the same issues we're dealing with now in 2024.
Yeah, isn't it weird how there's hostages that are in?
What you've got hostages, you have the Israeli-Palestine issue,
Israel,
the
Iran,
trying to find alternative sources of energy. It's the same pattern. It's the same thing. However,
it's mind-boggling.
50 years later.
And so it goes. So it goes. Well, it is that time, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm gonna but you know what before I go, this we need to do this to give everybody just a little bit of happiness.
Yes.
Time for the happy dance. Oh yeah.
Well, looks like I'm living rent free in your heads again, huh? I mean, if you're gonna spend your days obsessing over me, you might as well start calling me something respectable. Maybe Daddy Shizzy, or better yet, Papa Nut. Who's the grown up here? Oh, right, it's me, let's go. Call me Daddy, yeah, that's who I am. Running your lines like a master plan. Papa Nut, Shizzy, Daddy, take your pick. I'm owning your thoughts while you're still at sick. Call me Daddy, it's what you need. While you chase the crumbs and I take the lead. Living rent free, that's my name. Go ahead, say it, put some respect on the game. You said I'm too old, well here's a surprise. I'm the one with the brains while you're stuck with the lies. You act like you're experts, but here's the reality. I'm the one controlling your mental reality. So while you're out there trying to throw shade, I'm sipping coffee and you're feeling betrayed. You're mad I got the spotlight, now it's my time. So why not call me Daddy or Papa with a rhyme? I'm the landlord, and you're just the tenant. Stuck in your headspace with no end in sight, no repentance. Call me Daddy, you know it's true. You'd be lost without me, stuck in the glue. Call me Daddy, I'm owning your mind. While you're scrambling, trying to find what's behind. Popping up, Shizzy Daddy, don't you see? You're living in my world now, I'm the VIP. Call me Daddy, just let it be. While you're trying to figure out your own identity. Oh, I see you're confused, trying to get it right. Spinning your wheels while I'm out of sight. You think you've got it figured, but you got it all wrong. I've been running your minds all along. But sure, keep pretending you don't care. Keep saying you're done, but I'm still in the air. You got no choice but to bow to my name. Daddy Shizzy is here to own the game. You say you don't watch, but you're obsessed.
Oh yeah. I needed that happy song.
Yeah.
But see, here's the thing, Rosalind. I did use the ones that you've got. I just haven't completely finished uploading them all in there. And no, I'm probably not going to use the very newest ones. They were really good. I've still got some editing to do. I've got some good ideas for it. Got some really good ideas for it. These things take time. That's what my goal is today. Because I think we're supposed to be getting rain on and off all day.
Yeah.
Which is never fun. Never fun. I hate the damn rain. But ladies and gentlemen, I will see you guys tonight at around 11 o'clock. And everybody have a wonderful day. In the meantime, I think I'm sending you guys over to go see some. Let me double check. I think
Mo's
I had
on.
to set up. Is Mo on?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, normally I would set this stuff up at night, but I have not set anything up at night because nobody else sets their damn streams up, so I can't do it in advance. So now you guys are going to be going over to Mo. Make sure that you give her a thumbs up on the way in and hit that thumbs up on the way out. It really helps the algorithm, or the thumbs down, either which way. It makes no difference. The interaction just makes it
Exactly.
feel so good. Peace, y'all. Have a good.
Bless your heart. I thought I was the only mentally challenged one here.
Get it, yeah, oh yeah. Early morning, rise and shine. Coffee's brewing, feeling fine. News is out and on the air. Shizzy Whiz nuts wild, but we don't care. Morning Whiz and Coffee. Talk the news, he's a tease. Laugh it off, we're on the go. Shizzy Whiz nuts, start the show. Let's go. Get it, yeah, oh yeah. Headlines spinning in the breeze. Stupid jokes, he's such a tease. Sip the Java, wear a smile. Pants are off, but stay a while. Morning Whiz and Coffee. Talk the news, he's a tease. Laugh it off, we're on the go. Shizzy Whiz, let's start the show. Let's go. Get it, yeah, oh yeah. Headlines spinning in the breeze. Stupid jokes, he's such a tease. Sip the Java, wear a smile. Pants are off, but stay a while. Morning Whiz and Coffee. Talk the news, he's a tease. Laugh it off, we're on the go. Shizzy Whiz, let's start the show. Let's go. Get it, yeah, oh yeah. Serious is overrated. Every day we're caffeinated. Talk the town, but in a jest. Morning Whiz is always best. Clock is ticking, time to run. Morning show's a load of fun. Grab your mug, don't spill a drop. Laugh your ass off till you pop. Clock is ticking, time to run. Morning show's a load of fun. Grab your mug, don't spill a drop. Laugh your ass off till you pop.
Oh my god, Shizzy breaks
No
Larry.
way.
Shizzy broke Larry.
Oh yeah.
Happy